All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio on our special tradition or special edition of the Couch Potato Sports Show. And that being said, now, folks, don't think for a second we won't be on Sunday morning. We are on 9 a.m. to noon, our regular slot, and we'll be doing 9 a.m. this Sunday and then the next Sunday. If there's a Saturday game, I'm not sure what the schedule looks like. I should have it here fairly soon. We'll do the same thing probably Friday night or Saturday before the game, depending on the situation and what's going on. So I just want to keep you in track of a special edition here tonight because the NFL is in business. Okay. They will be playing tomorrow, and that's the reason why we're on 2 games tomorrow in the NFL. And you can say whatever you want, but this is where the big boys play. And now, yes, I stole a wrestling thing from the WCW, but this is where the big boys play. In other words, if your team didn't make the playoffs, they're not big boys. They are little boys. And they weren't able to get into the playoffs, even when they expanded it one more team to get in there. So instead of having 2 buys for each conference, they only got 1. And they added a game for someone to get in. Now, that having been said, of course, that's the name of this show tonight. Here we're at 8 o'clock and on Sunday, 9 to noon. Make sure you catch us. Remember, we're entering and edging up to that 15 years here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. That being said, when you are one of the teams that did not make the playoffs, where are you mentally as far as the team is concerned? Because there's been some things that have been moving around already. At last count, we were talking about it just within our chat as far as the shows and stuff like that. What you can look forward to is lots of coaches that are out there. There are 8 coaching vacancies right now. Now, depending on who you believe, one of them may have been filled. And I'm talking about the New England Patriots. Because a new era is supposedly going to be starting as Gerard Mayo has been announced as the new head coach of the New England Patriots after yesterday parting ways with, it's not even arguably. I know a lot of people will get on here and say arguably he's the best coach to ever coach. No, there's no argument. And by the way, if you think there's an argument for Vince Lombardi, listen, go back and check how many championships that man won compared to the championships that Bill Belichick won. Bill Belichick is an institution to the NFL for head coaching or, for all that matters, as a GM. He is the best that there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be to steal Bret Hart's line. I'm in a wrestling mood, by the way. I had a great day. I could sit up and watch wrestling all night, but I got to be at work tomorrow morning. But, that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. Looking at the landscape of the NFL and where it is now and what someone has to do, you got 8 jobs that are out there. Is the Patriots one that is fantastic for you? If you are an NFL head coach prospect, do you want the Patriots job? Actually, no. It's only 2 people that might have got that, which is one, the guy that did it, and the other is Mike Vrabel. That was kindly shown to the door in Tennessee. A fact that should not have happened, but it did. A fact that even Henry, the running back, was kind of shocked that it happened. But I don't think I'm that shocked. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I look at the landscape of the NFL and find out what's going on, something tells me that, well, yes, conspiracy couch on this one. Because I'm telling you right now, the Mike Vrabel thing, I think has got some teeth elsewhere. And we're going to be talking about that. And I think the teeth is to bring Henry with it. I think there's an understanding there. And I don't know why, because I've never even heard of it. It's just a gut feeling I have regarding Vrabel bringing on Derrick Henry wherever he goes. That relationship, I think, is solid. I think it's one that can go a long way. But where will Vrabel end up? I think I know where he's going. And I haven't heard it. I haven't had time. Been crazy 3 days for Sonny. I'll get into that maybe one day later. I don't know. But I haven't had time to really dive into it. But my mind has been thinking about a lot of things, especially with the coaches and the teams that are open. The Panthers are open. The Raiders are open. The Titans are open. The Commanders are open. The Chargers are open. The Falcons and the Seahawks. Now there is 7. Mike Vrabel is going to end up either one of 2 places. And he's going to go to the other side of the country. He's going to end up in Seattle, or he's going to end up in San Diego, or I'm sorry, Los Angeles with the Chargers. It's just a gut feeling I have thinking about Mike Vrabel and the kind of coach he is. Depending on what you think about Pete Carroll, depending on good, bad, or indifferent, he is a guy that gets the job done with the personnel that he has. Now, I don't know if Pete Carroll getting fired per se is something that was set up for him, or if it was a surprise to him, or how it works. So evidently he's moved into a kind of, I don't know, an advisory side. Good, bad, or indifferent, why it was done, I don't know what was behind it. But when you talk coaches and you talk guys that get the best out of players, and I'm not a Pete Carroll fan either. I think he's just a jerk. But he is able to get the job done. Now, I don't know. You can sit and argue all day long about what one person can or cannot do. And if you argue Pete Carroll can't get the best out of him, I'm going to tell you, you don't know football. Because when Pete Carroll takes over a team with Geno freaking Smith and has success. Now, granted, he didn't have the great success as he did last year, but still, he was vying for the playoffs with Geno freaking Smith. Now, granted, they made the playoffs last year with Geno freaking Smith. And they didn't this year. So, whatever you think about Pete Carroll, if they fired him because they didn't have success with Geno freaking Smith, he needs to go anyway. He makes the playoffs with Geno Smith, doesn't this year. They are lucky to get there or even being vying for that position. So what the motive behind getting rid of Pete Carroll is not a good thing. Something is amuck in Seattle or those guys just don't know football. Because the fact of the matter is that they were vying for a playoff spot. That's a successful season with Geno freaking Smith. I am so tired. Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you this to you. Geno Smith sucks, in case you didn't know. He is not a good quarterback. I'm tired of people, just laying on accolades for this guy. He's not good. He had a good season last year. But overall, this is not a good quarterback in the NFL. And why people are trying to push greatness onto Geno Smith has me completely baffled. When people talk about Geno Smith being a good quarterback, I only got one thing to say.
I know I'm smarter than that son.
You don't know football. Now, for whatever agenda that you have for Geno Smith being a good quarterback, you can have that. Okay? But if you want to look at where he lies each and every year as a quarterback, outside of last year and this year, this guy, first of all, didn't play. Second of all, he's a backup. And even when he was a starter, the guy sucked. Okay? He sucked his whole career. And Pete Carroll, out of all the coaches in the NFL, made this guy somewhat respectful. I'm not going to respect him because I know who he is. I know who Geno Smith is, Jenny. So that being said, Pete Carroll should have been in the running for Coach of the Year last year. They get it, but he should have been in the running. Now I don't know who figures that out, but I'm telling you right now, Pete Carroll, hate him, can't stand him, punk, thug, whatever you want to call him. Punk is probably the one I just hate this guy. But he got the best out of Geno freaking Smith. And Geno Smith should be on his knees praying that wherever Pete Carroll goes, he can follow. Because as far as where the Seattle Seahawks are concerned, they better get an offensive coordinator that can get the best out of that guy. Because they're not going. If you don't get the best out of Geno Smith, first of all, you're not going to make the playoffs. You got the best out of him this year. He was vying for the playoffs. But Geno Smith being a good quarterback outside of Pete Carroll.
Blasphemy! The blasphemy!
Absolutely. Now, if you want to keep it politically correct, and I get all the nonsense, you can love him. But I'm telling you right now, that is not the guy. And guess what? They didn't make the
playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yep.
I just hope we can win a game.
But Pete Carroll is a joke. So if you think Geno Smith is a good quarterback, you are not football intelligent. Sorry, you're not. And we can argue about it all day long, but you will be wrong. I got my coffee cup. I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. That's where I lie as far as Geno Smith. If you want to think this guy's worth a nickel. That being said, of course, that's the name of the show. We got him here. Golly Moses. I watch this. It makes me laugh every single time. I don't know. But we'll bring him on. It is the one, the only. It is the Podfather. How you doing, Podfather? Good to see you.
I can't be that long here. I'm in the middle of some family time. But let me just say this right now. You're waving your arms so damn much. You're scaring children all over the place. Please stop that. I mean, nobody wants to hear you talk about Geno Smith. Nobody cares. Okay.
Well, hold on. A lot of hey, listen. Your opinion. That's what your opinion means to me.
Look, I just want to say this, and I'll let it be done. I am the bragging rights champion.
Yes, I give. Hold on. I give homage. I give homage to the one, the only Podfather for bringing the bragging. God, I got to do this for 52 more weeks. Oh my God, I got to do. Anyway, there you go. All right.
Anyway, I just want to say have a good show, Sonny. I'll see you later, bro.
All right. So you just checked in real quick. Thanks for seeing you there. Quick. Yeah, good to see you. And we'll see you Sunday. You be on Sunday?
I'll be on Sunday.
All right. So we'll get you up on Sunday then, my friend. All right, though. That is the Podfather. He just wanted to come in. Yes, he has bragging rights, so I got to let him do it. I mean, I don't want to let him do it, but I got to let him do it. He is the Podfather. He is the bragging rights, so we give him the bragging rights to be able to come in here and put it out there. So, by the way, here's the fine co-host of this program. That's not happening, Sonny Clark. The team Pete Carroll is going to be the next franchise quarterback already. What? The team Pete Carroll is coaching next has a franchise quarterback already. Why? Do you know something I don't? Yeah, but all right. Speaking, fine. The Podfather, no one cares about. That's what I'm. Let's say 8-3. Yeah. So it was the Podfather. Something else nobody cares about. I didn't see the message there. I would have loved to put that up there. But anyway, so I don't know where Cuervo, he's driving. So, and he's in sunny California. So I don't know if and when you get there. This is just some of the things that I was going to talk about until if and when someone came in. And of course, we're going to talk about the two games that are going to be going on Saturday. We have the Cleveland Browns in the wild card taking on the Houston Texans in Houston, who, by the way, won the AFC South. And of course, by the way, guess what? Jacksonville Jaguars didn't. Pretenders. I told y'all, you didn't listen to me. I tried. I even picked them. But I told you the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretenders. And I will get into that in the offseason because I've got it figured out. Yeah, I said it. I got it figured out. So the Houston Texans, they are hosting the Cleveland Browns. By the way, if Jacksonville would have done that, the Cleveland Browns would be in Jacksonville and they'd lose that game too. So I'm just saying, pretender all the way, that being, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. But it's Cleveland and Houston. They're going to kick that off tomorrow at around 3:30 Central Standard Time. And then the nightcap. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, both 11-6. By the way, Cleveland is 11-6 on the road playing a 10-7 Houston Texans team. Interestingly enough. So that being said, two great games that we're going to be doing. I know. Did you? I didn't. First of all, I didn't see it, and second of all, everybody complains because I don't, as of right now, have the green screen type thing going on. So I do apologize for not having the background up there. I'm gonna figure that out. Just trust old Sonny. He'll get that done. But it's going to take a little bit. So you're stuck with the propellers and the two time clocks that are wrong. So just put up with it. And actually, that one's right. That's on Eastern Standard Time. So, and this one here, I don't know what the hell it is. But, and then we got the mermaid with the dolphin. And no, that doesn't mean I'm picking the Dolphins, but it is what it is. And my towel back there. Anyway. Back to what were we talking about? Oh, Geno Smith. Talking about somebody that didn't like. Got it. But I'm telling you, Cuervo, you said that the next coach in place where Pete Carroll will already has the franchise quarterback. Well, I would love to know who you think is going to be that where he's going to be going. So if you put that up in the room, or if and when you call in, we'll talk about that then. Now, back to what happened yesterday and today. Okay, over in New England, of course, yesterday they had the grand send-off for the greatest coach to ever coach the game. Yeah, I said it. I don't care about Vince Lombardi. No, hold on. Let me just rephrase that. It sounds bad, worse than that. I don't disrespect what Vince Lombardi did. He's just not as good as what. Now, granted, we're talking different eras, and a lot of people like to talk the eras of football, and I get it. Okay, but I'm telling you right now, a coach of Bill Belichick's magnitude cannot be ignored, especially when you look at this graphic. 24 seasons, one coach, and the rest of the NFL, 213 coaches on the other 31. Now that's over, again, 24 seasons. And you see the rate of turnover of actual head coaches in the NFL. How anybody could think, and this is not a slight on Vince Lombardi per se, but I'm sorry, Vince Lombardi does not even carry a torch to what this guy has done. Not only that, just for the Patriots, but looking at the legacy of coaching and how it's done. Never mind coaching, how about general manager? He's the best at both positions. He is the reason why you've seen Bill Parcells try to do it. Herm Edwards tried to do it. Many other names that tried to do it, where they were the head coach and GM. This guy made everybody look like a punk. This guy made everybody look like they had no damn clue of what they were doing. This guy had coaches go on. Do you know very many successful coaches that came from the quote unquote coaching tree? Not really as a head coach. Maybe had some success as a defensive or offensive coordinator, special team, whatever. But as far as head coaches are concerned, no one can carry Bill Belichick's jock. Not that anybody wants to do that, but you just can't. And I just got a visual I'll never get out of my head, but that's another story in itself. And we're talking about storied franchises, okay? Even the Pittsburgh Steelers have had more in the last 24 years than Bill Belichick. And you want to talk about a storied franchise that sticks with them. They didn't stick with anybody for 24 seasons. They had 3 coaches during that time. So, looking at what this guy has been able to do through his career, and rightfully so, is going to be first round Hall of Famer. And I will also say this, as far as who he stacks up against, this is not even a close, how do you say it, demonstration of a, name me a coach that even comes close. And Lombardi could be one of them, but I'm sorry, he just wasn't as good. And yes, I understand the time. In fact, if you look at Bill Belichick, Vince Lombardi coached in a place where they didn't have the speed, the height, the bigness, how big players are, and things of that sort. They did not have that. But guess what? He still did it, and he did it with the way he did. And listen, this is a guy that is a no-nonsense guy. And he's been a no-nonsense guy for his whole career. And the way that he treats people, especially in the media, it you know, I don't know if he respected him. He says he did. I don't know how much of that part I believe. He was just annoyed that he had to be there in the first place. So, but Bill Belichick, what he was able to do, put himself in there. Yeah, I see that. I'll get that video. I got to download it. I saw it. So Trey Mack, I will do that. For all to see for you. That being said, Bill Belichick is the reason why people got interested in football the way they did, whether it was Belichick, whether it was Brady. Some people could still argue it was Brady over Belichick. Say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Whoever you think, it doesn't matter. So, that being said, you got Mayo hired as the new coach over there. Interesting pick. And also, putting into play, a black coach. And I will tell you right now, only a Belichick guy could really take that job over. And how everything was done as far as Robert Kraft, how they put it together, top to bottom. I love we're not going to have talk to people about it. This is just what it was. So interestingly enough, lots of other things going on. By the way, we're going to be talking about 2 games. We're talking about those games that we were talking about. But on Sunday, kicking off against Pittsburgh and Buffalo, that's something we'll be talking about. We'll have hopefully Bryce from Brooklyn on for that game as far as Pittsburgh is concerned. And I want to know his 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 keys for the Pittsburgh Steelers to try to get out of the first round of the playoffs, if that's even possible. Then you got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm so sick of this story already. Guys, Dez Bryant did not catch the ball per the rules of the NFL. Quit talking about it. Quit acting like it. He did not catch it. He did not have full control of the ball. I've got the pictures. I will show it to you on Sunday. He did not catch the ball. It was not solid. So I'm sorry. So tired of hearing that story. I don't care. So interesting enough. Then you got the Rams taking on Detroit, probably the most intriguing game of the week, and then Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, whoever does the schedules evidently don't. They shouldn't even be allowed to be there anymore. I am so sick of this. It's unbelievable. And by the way, Cuervo, I just came back and seen that you're in there, but I got a blank screen on you. I don't know if you don't have your camera on. He's in the dark because of what's going on. So I get it. I understand. And I will go ahead and I hope he's. Let's find it. Let's find out if he's ready.
You can't see me.
If see him. I don't know. What a plan, right? We can't see him. There he is. I can kind of see. How you doing? They're good to see you. Well, maybe kind of see you, Cuervo. How you doing?
I'm good, Sonny. Can you hear me?
I got you perfect, man. You sound great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Good old car Bluetooth.
Yeah, not too bad. You're doing good. So that works out. Now, I want to back it up a little bit here as far as what is going on as far as what we've been talking about. So let's back up and let's talk a little bit about what we were talking about. Geno Smith now and Pete Carroll. I want to get back because you said that they've already, where he's going to coach, they've already got a franchise quarterback. Has he already accepted a job and I just didn't hear it? Or is this just a feeling that you got regarding Pete Carroll?
It's just a feeling I got, Sonny. And I put a comment in the chat. You may not have seen it, but I think it's a very, it gives it away.
Let's see
the team
here.
I'm thinking of.
Oh yes, I did not see that. Well, it wouldn't be a far trip. It wouldn't be a trip that he'd have to go too far for anyway.
No, and I mean he's familiar with that town, that city.
Yes.
So
the one that he ran out, embarrassed, ran away from and everything. But hey, the product returns is what you're saying?
I think it's possible. Because I'll go back to what you were talking about earlier, and I think it almost feels, Sonny, like the reason you don't like Pete Carroll is the same reason I don't like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, because they were so good at what they did. Because I think you proved the point about Pete Carroll.
Okay.
Geno Smith's career was dead in the water when he went to Seattle. And Pete Carroll and his offensive staff completely revitalized and brought his career back to life.
Well, that's true.
And I think you got to give the credit to the coaching, because I mean it's not like Geno Smith woke up one day and just forgot how to play, or he forgot what he was taught.
Yeah.
It's just being put in the right place.
I agree.
Pete Carroll and his offensive coordinator, I don't know if Waldron was there already when he got there 2 years ago, but the point is, sometimes for some guys, all it takes is the right coaching. And for Geno Smith, that's all he needed was the right coaching to put him in a position to be successful. So
that's the best way to put it, to be successful. Listen, Geno Smith's not a good quarterback. Okay, and we can argue the point all day long. Everybody would be wrong. He's not a good quarterback. But what Pete Carroll was able to do was to get out of Geno Smith what no other coach was able to do. And they had success last year. They didn't this year. I want to know if you know what maybe the motivation of getting rid of Pete Carroll was. Do you have any background on that, or any kind of knowledge or a feeling on what has happened as far as Seattle is concerned and the tenure being over for Pete Carroll?
Yeah, no, Sonny. I mean, I wish I knew more. Like I said, behind the curtains of why this was a decision that GM John Schneider made. I really couldn't tell you, Sonny. I don't know if it's just they want to get, they want a guy that is more not established, but a guy that they foresee being a coach for the next 10 years. I mean, Pete Carroll's 72 years old, 71 years old.
Yep.
I mean, he's only gonna coach so many more years, and I just think the Seahawks were just trying to be proactive, get a younger guy in there to set themselves up for the next, like I said, 10 years or whatever, with a younger coach. So I don't know if there was anything that behind the scenes happened as far as maybe a how do I call it? Kind of like a Jim Harbaugh situation in San Francisco, where they were both, the GM and the coach were kind of, not physically, but they were fighting with each other for, they were just kind of going, bumping heads about, the power, the authority, and things like that, and who was the bigger person in the room. So I don't know if maybe that's what it was.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, along the lines of what you're talking about there, Cuervo. All right, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, if you dump out Pete Carroll, don't you give consideration of dumping off Geno Smith? I mean, really, because he's going to be your guy. I don't think anybody, and listen, I'm sorry, he's just not good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I don't know who they bring over there in Seattle, but I don't think any head coach in the NFL right now it says, give me Geno Smith so we can go there in Seattle and start kicking it. I don't know. If you're going to get rid of Pete Carroll, I think the next person, obviously on the way outside, maybe general manager or whatever the case may be. But as far as players, I think you got to take a look at Geno Smith and let that guy go out the door as well.
Well, I think the only thing that would stop them, Sonny, is the dead cap money that you're gonna take on if you either release or trade him. That would be the financial part of it. But I think it makes sense though. So I mean, you're going to go new head coach. You're probably going to get a whole coaching staff, because I think their offensive coordinator Shane Waldron's going to move on. I mean, that whole coaching staff
he might go with Pete Carroll, maybe.
Well, I mean, that is possible. But I know that Seattle's pretty much, told these coordinators, yeah, go and go see what's out there, and
got it.
That's basically what they're doing. They're going to interview for other jobs, and whether it's a lateral move or whether it's a promotion, it sounds like they're completely cleaning house. So, which means 9 times out of 10, if new head coach, I mean, you're going to reset the quarterback as well. Not every team does that. I kind of wish every team would do that, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Maybe the Chicago Bears.
But I know we'll get into that later. But
just a little bit. I've been waiting for that one, actually. All right, before we get to that, Bill Belichick. Okay, I kind of went on my barrage on him. Bill Belichick, what that whole situation in, Gerard Mayo making his way in there, new head coach for that football team, hold kind of different look. Obviously, when I'm talking about different look, hey, they satisfied and got a minority in there as a head coach, which, should, I mean, I love the idea. And then as far as that's concerned, giving a guy an opportunity, though, to take over for the best coach, and that's got to be almost the best or the worst gig ever. So your take up on that being said on Bill Belichick and then Gerard Mayo taking over for him as the new head coach of the Patriots.
Oh, I mean, what can you say? How can you put it into words about Bill Belichick and everything he accomplished just as the Patriots coach alone? I mean, we're not even going to talk about everything that he did prior to the job in New England. I mean, it's like Robert Kraft said, it's a career that it will never be duplicated. You'll never be able to duplicate. I don't care if you get a guy that's got a mix of Vince Lombardi, Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, and Chuck Noll, all wrapped up in one. It's probably still not going to equal what Bill Belichick accomplished as a head coach in New England.
10 Super Bowls. Man, some of those coaches are lucky to get to one, or never mind 2 or 3.
Right, yeah. Yeah, well, I think he was responsible for 9 out of the 10. Mm-hmm. But either way, I mean, to go 6-3, I mean, that coaches dream of just getting to 1, and this guy went to, he went to 9 of them. So, like I said, I mean, Robert Kraft put it best. I mean, it's a coaching career that no one's going to ever be able to duplicate. As far as Mayo, look, I mean, I'm happy for the guy. He's a former Vol. He played for Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of my little, I guess, my way of being happy for the Patriots, by hiring a former Tennessee Vol as their new head coach. But this was the plan all along, Sonny. And shame on me for forgetting about that, because I remember reading about it. I remember hearing about it, that, that when the day came that Bill Belichick was going to either retire or leave New England, that Mayo was going to be the successor. And it was all planned out. And that's why they didn't have to abide by the Rooney Rule or anything like that. They hired from within the organization, and it just, that's why it was announced so quickly, because they didn't have to follow any procedures or anything like that. It just, he was just hired.
Yep. And that being said, when you got it that way, it's easy for you. I mean, tell me about, having the opportunity to have a guy that in there. It just makes that whole situation so much better moving forward for them as well. I think that's a big key on what will end up, that can happen for what kind of football team it may be, here, there, or whatever. I like the hire. Everybody thought it was going to be Vrabel, and there's not a reason to question that. But that leaves Vrabel open for wide open. And like I said, I thought Vrabel would be the Chargers, and I don't know if I said it when we were doing it, but Vrabel, Seattle, or the Chargers, one of the two. And I think it probably would be best for, I don't know if the Chargers are the team Vrabel should coach. I think the Seattle Seahawks would be there, but I think it'd be one of those two. That's where my guess is for Vrabel. Where do you think that he could end up?
You're talking about Vrabel?
Yeah.
I think he wants to go to a team that aligns with his philosophy of football, physical, tough-nosed, that type of environment, that type of team. I'm gonna throw you a huge curveball.
Okay.
Right here, Sonny. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. And I wish Bryce was here so he could tell me I need to take a drug test.
Now I know where you're going.
Could you imagine? And I don't think it's going to happen. Let me just throw that out there. I don't think it's going to happen. About a 2% chance. Okay. But could you imagine if after this weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're probably, I'm just gonna say they're probably gonna get embarrassed in Buffalo this weekend. And let's just say Pittsburgh decides, you know what, we're Mike Tomlin out up here in Pittsburgh. Thanks for everything, Coach. We're gonna move in a different direction. Mike Vrabel, the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Could you imagine something like that? Because that's the type of team, that's the type of town, blue collar. That's who Mike Vrabel is. He's a blue collar kind of guy. He likes coaching physical football teams. I mean, that's what Tennessee was.
Yes.
Could you imagine him with that defense, with Minka and T.J. Watt and all those guys up there in Pittsburgh coaching that team?
I could imagine it, but I think they would have to do something drastically offensively in reality, especially obviously the quarterback position, which is obviously the black eye, on this football team right now. As far as anything else, because why? Because you only go as far as your quarterback can take you, especially when you're talking the playoffs. And they're going to start Mason freaking Rudolph on Sunday. You got to be kidding me! It's an unbelievable situation that they find themselves in. And I'll tell you this right now, Mason Rudolph has got the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to say, guess what? I'm a starting quarterback in the NFL, and that has to happen if he's going to get a job. They got to beat him. Mason Rudolph right now is going to be lined up as a backup quarterback without a victory as a starting quarterback in the playoffs. And so this is a biggest game of his career.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and this may be the only opportunity he gets to start a playoff game because, once Pittsburgh figures out for sure what their quarterback situation is, we're going to stick with Kenny Pickett. We're going to, we're going to flip the depth chart around, and Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starter. God forbid that happens. But I'm just saying, Mitch has got playoff experience. He's played in a couple playoff games, but
he also had regular season experience, and we already seen what he can do there.
Yeah, not a whole lot, right? Not a whole lot.
Whoa.
I mean, that's, I guess that, like I said, this is going to be his one shot. I seriously doubt he'll ever start a playoff game ever again. And I think that could be dangerous for Buffalo because, what do we got to lose? I mean,
exactly.
We nobody really expected the Steelers to get into the playoffs, which really speaks volumes about Mike Tomlin.
Absolutely.
But props to Matt Canada too, right? No, but but no, I mean, in reality, like I said, I didn't think the Steelers would make the playoffs, and I don't even think Bryce would. And if he says that, oh yeah, I expected, I will tell him to his face he's lying.
I don't even think he even falls for that BS.
No, I don't think he was thinking playoffs for the Steelers this year either. So, but that being said, they are in the playoffs. Mason Rudolph is starting, and just go out there and do what you do, man. Like, nobody really expects them to win anyways.
I don't see why is this doing this? I back to here. I'm trying to do this new thing, to check some things out. So sorry about that. But that being said, how that whole thing works out with Vrabel, that'd be interesting to see him over in Pittsburgh because that's the smash mouth. That's why I thought Seattle would be, because that's kind of what they are all about. But at the same time, whether it's the Steelers, whether it's the Seahawks, they need a quarterback wherever this guy's going to go. And what are they, if anything, are they going to do to help that situation is going to be the big story right there in reality when you're talking about Mike Vrabel and where he can go. I think. Listen, right now Vrabel needs a quarterback. He always needed a quarterback. So the Chargers definitely, I could see him definitely going that way. And they played that kind of physical game too, as well, especially defense, especially if they get Bosa back in time for the start of the season, based upon that injury he had in the last couple of games of the season. So that should be interesting to see where that goes. So good stuff.
Yeah, here's another one for you, Sonny. We'll keep it in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What if the Buccaneers pull off the upset, beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and say, and look, rumors are already floating around.
Really?
Around
I
Nick
haven't heard
Sirianni's
those.
on the hot seat.
Really?
Yes.
I did not hear that.
I don't think he should be on the hot seat. I mean, they were just in the Super Bowl,
right?
But last year. So
last year,
for him to be on the hot seat already, I mean, that's. But you know what?
Crazy.
That's what you get in Philadelphia, right? I mean, you want to talk about an impatient fan base? Holy cow! I mean, one game. It was one game, and everybody needs to get benched. Everybody needs to get traded. Everybody needs to get fired. And Greg, if you're listening, dude, don't tell me I'm wrong, because I know I'm right. I'm right.
I heard they're not very happy, but not more Sirianni. I heard more about Jalen Hurts. What is going on? Is Jalen Hurts hurt? And there's something evidently not there. We are so totally seeing a different quarterback from last year to this year, and maybe after 11 weeks is probably when we seen the change. As far as where he was, and then the downfall. I've never seen somebody so despondent and seemed disinterested in where they were as far as their future. After 11 games, it's like, wait a second, you still have 6 more games to play here. Okay, so you're missing something here. And this guy has been absent for 6 games. Now, granted, he had a good game week 18. Congratulations, wonderful. But that still don't mean anything, especially going into playoffs when you're limping in, which basically is what we're seeing from Philadelphia. At the start of the season, this team was the team to beat. But guess what? I put up the graphic, didn't I, Cuervo? That chances of a team who lose in the Super Bowl to make it to the playoffs is hard, but they make it there. But to get back to the Super Bowl, there hasn't been anybody been able to do it. So so you got Cincinnati to worry about, aware of their future. They were in the Super Bowl, they lost. Will they be the one to break that mold? Will it be in reality? I don't know if you can take a look at this situation and see that maybe they can't. I don't know with Philadelphia. But right now, the losses on defense, we saw that in the offseason. That was the killer. By the way, that was the killer. Never mind they don't have a quarterback, but guess what? You can maybe fight through with the bad quarterback, but if you're going to lose 1, 2, 3 punch on the defensive side of the ball, in the offseason after the Super Bowl, that's going to be a hard way, to get back to it. And they just proved the stat right in reality, I think, because I don't think they have a snowball chance now of making it back to the Super Bowl.
This year, I don't think the Eagles or Kansas City's getting back. That's just, I don't think I'm breaking news here, but I'm just going to throw that out there and say that we're going to get a whole new Super Bowl this year.
I don't know. I have a hard time. I have a hard time fighting the battle with Kansas City. Maybe they get their heads put on straight. Get into football mode and try to go do what they need to do, which is to get back to Super Bowl. But that's not going to be going through Kansas City, as far as that is concerned. So that's something to be looking at. Baltimore right now is the team to beat in the AFC. I don't care what anybody says. If I had to predict right now who's going to win, is it going to be Baltimore in the AFC? Yes, definitely. There's only 2 teams in the NFC, I think, that are capable of making it there as well. So, and one of them is not the Philadelphia Eagles. So It should be really interesting to see how these playoffs work out, see who makes it, see if someone trips up the San Francisco 49ers heading into this playoff. You're going to have to trip them up, as far as that is concerned. And obviously, I think those are the two that are predicted to be there in reality. On the NFC side, I just don't see anybody really getting past, here's the setup on the NFC. I don't see any of them. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys. That just depends on what you believe. Might be able to, maybe step up to the 49ers, but it'll be a real interesting playoffs. And that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. What time are you home?
Well, I mean, I won't be home for at least another 40 minutes or so, Sonny.
Okay, cool. So then we're doing good. That works out really good. So let's do that. Let's go to the first game that is up on tap in the NFL, and that game starts at 3:30. As far as that is concerned. And I'll tell you, it's an interesting game, and you can look at it a lot of different ways. The Cleveland Browns are going to go up against the road. They take on the Houston Texans. Of course, I hoped it was the Jaguars. I picked them to be there. They didn't. They dropped the ball. But now it's going to be in Houston, as they are going to take on a Cleveland Browns defense that is so, I don't want to say overrated, okay? But parts of me wants to. And I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, or if I'm just being unfair. But the Browns defense is good. It's one of the best in the NFL. And I say one of the best because guess what? If you have a good enough offense, it almost trumps out what's going to be happening defensively. And all you got to do is look at Baltimore. Baltimore's playing out of their mind on the offensive side of the ball right now. So when you're looking at this game, Cuervo, you got a defense that's going to go in there, and then you got which I think should be the head coach for them, the Texans, to get in there. I think the Texans coach should be the coach of the year. They had no business being where they are. So, and that's a credit to the coach.
Oh, 100%. And again, that just goes to tell you, how much, just a coaching staff can make a difference.
Yep.
And the quarterback too. I mean, you draft the right guy, you put him in the right system, and because you think about it, a year ago, I mean, the Houston Texans were, I mean, they were getting completely
stalled.
But I mean, they made the ultimate mistake by winning that game, that last game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And which hey, I mean, I'm grateful for as a Bears fan, but it really I mean, it worked out in the end for them because Carolina's owner has no business in making football decisions. But,
that's what I've been reading.
Yeah, it just, like I said, I mean, they went from completely fumbling on getting the number one pick to being a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
And it all has to do with drafting the right quarterback, hiring the right head coach, hiring the right offensive coordinator, and that quickly you can turn things around. It happens that fast. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Houston Texans are going to, be in the Super Bowl, but it's a very fast turnaround, and that's why, I'm with you. I think D'Amico Ryans absolutely needs to be coach of the year, 100%.
Absolutely. And in thinking about the coaching carousel last year, there were teams that should have made their move last year and they didn't do it. And whether that been the Patriots, if you thought maybe that should have been maybe 1 year longer, the Chargers definitely should have done something last year as far as that is concerned. Then you got the Josh McDaniels situation. Oh my gosh, there's just so many things that ended up happening. So picking him up definitely turned right now what thought to be a 2023-2024 season is maybe getting close to the playoffs, but not actually winning the division to get there. So, and no one had, at least within our, little little corner of the world here on this show, thought that the Texans would be there. And in fact, man, no one's really given them an opportunity in this playoffs, whether if you look at the betting line, looking at the picks, looking at the fan picks over with the spread. I mean, you're looking at the Texans with the 24% chance of winning on the money line and outright winning 29% based upon the experts. This is going to be really interesting. You're looking at about 70% Browns that are going to be there. Browns. So that being said, there's also some other things to looking at that. What's going to happen as far as the rushing yards are going to be concerned in this game? Okay, looking at what happened, on this type of in this type of game, what could end up happening is you can see someone decide just to run the ball all the way. This could be the Kareem Hunt show as far as that is concerned. But the problem with that is and I was looking at it, the rushing defense for the Houston Texans, they're only giving up 96 yards a game, which makes that sixth best in the NFL. So I don't know what we're going to see as far as the running game comes from the Cleveland Browns. But then you got at the other side is C.J. Stroud. What is he going to do? I mean, week in and week out, we've seen this guy cool as a cucumber. Okay, but guess what? We have moved into a different part of the season. It is the NFL playoffs, baby. And guess what?
Got me under pressure.
Very pressure situation for a rookie quarterback to go in, but talk about an opportunity to make a huge name for himself in this one, CUERVO.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you don't know who he is by now, you're going to find out who he is tomorrow because.
This one's a tough one to pick out there. What's going to end up happening as far as what is he going to show up at the court? CJ Stroud, is he going to be the guy? And by the way, this is the best game for him to start his career in the playoffs, because if he gets past this one, we're going to be talking CJ Stroud, and I don't even care what happens in the second round or third round in the AFC in the AFC side of these playoffs.
Well, Sonny, I mean, if he does win this game, chances are he's probably going to have to go up against the number one seed going into the division round. And
yes,
that definitely is not going to be an easy game to play.
Oh, what a great game it would be. Baltimore and the Texans, I would love to see that happen.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, especially, Lamar Jackson going up against, you're talking most likely MVP versus most likely Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
In the division round of the playoffs. So that's must see football right there.
Absolutely. And looking at this game, I mean, you're going to have Flacco in there, right? So Joe Flacco is going to. By the way, Joe Flacco has definitely, is wearing the Superman outfit for the Cleveland Browns. He's turned that organization completely around, and we're actually talking about Joe Flacco, first of all, playing well, which he hasn't. Say whatever you want about his whole career, but the last 5 seasons, Joe Flacco has been as useless as a turd in a swimming pool, and he just turns it around. So interestingly enough, the pass defense is going to be very interesting to see what happens for the Cleveland Browns, because guess who's number 1 in the NFL in pass defense? Oh, that would be that would be the Cleveland Browns on the pass defense. But on the other side, Flacco gets the 23rd best in the NFL, which is not very good. So we might have an opportunity to see Joe Flacco turn his career right around. And wouldn't it be interesting to see how Cleveland moves forward after this season as Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback in 2020, the 2025 season? It's going to be a really interesting game in reality.
Well, I can tell you right now, Sonny, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Joe Flacco won't be on this team next year.
Okay.
I think yeah, and this is assuming he wants to keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he stays with Cleveland as the backup, or he moves on and goes to a team that really needs a quarterback, and maybe has a chance of starting. But I think he'll go with the other option, and he may like it enough in Cleveland to stay there and be the backup.
Oh, so you don't think he has a chance of being the starter at all
No,
in
absolutely
Cleveland?
not.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
A chance is so there's not a chance he's going to move on.
No
Wow,
chance.
no
None.
chance.
None at all.
Well, yeah, talking.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
But so in looking at this game, Cuervo, what are you looking at? I mean, you got an interesting game that's going to be happening. I don't know. What's your take up on what you're going to see? We're going to see tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to see a live, excited Houston Texans, fan crowd. Like the crowd is it's going to be electric in Houston tomorrow for this game, and there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Texans fan. I mean,
Absolutely.
like I said, the turnaround that this team did in less than basically a year. I mean, how hard is that to do? And they made it look kind of easy. They were just like, oh yeah, we'll draft this guy. We'll hire this guy as a coach. We'll bring him in as OC. And I mean, from what I remember, yeah, you draft guys, but as far as free agency, I don't remember them doing a whole lot. I don't remember them making. I would say Dalton Schultz, the tight end, is probably the biggest name that they brought in through free agency last offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a knock on Dalton Schultz. I'm just saying Texans didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. This was more just, they hit on the right things at the right time.
Absolutely.
So
think about this. The Cleveland Browns were just in Houston on Christmas Eve, and they went ahead and took care of business in Houston. So, and by the way, the score 36-22, that's really a mirage, because really you're only looking at 36-14 in reality. They more than doubled up on them. They got that garbage touchdown at the end of the game in reality, but the Browns just manhandled them last time they hit the football field, as far as that is concerned. The Texans only scored 7 points through the first 3 quarters of that football team, and by the time they knew it, it was 28-7 going into the fourth quarter. Pretty much game was over, and it was all, in reality, they got some great play from guys that I don't know should have been there. Amari Cooper, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 receptions. You can't tell me that you don't think that could end up happening again, because guess who was the quarterback at that time? Yeah, that was Joe Flacco, finding the guy that who is and should be the number one guy they should be throwing the football to all the time, but they don't necessarily do that in Cleveland, because guess what? The Browns are the Browns, and they don't realize the talent that they have on that football team.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, hey, look, it worked less than a month ago.
Yep.
Why wouldn't it work again? I mean, I don't know if Cooper's going to get 265 yards receiving again.
Yeah.
But I would at least let him try. Who's going to cover him? I mean, obviously nobody did last time. So, but you know what? I think there's going to be so much focus on Amari Cooper this time. It's going to open things up.
Yep.
For other guys on that football team, and that's where Houston could go wrong. You can't focus too much on Cooper, because then they're gonna hurt you in other ways. So
yeah,
I think that's what Houston needs to be careful with. And then on the other side, I think if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Stroud didn't play in that game, and that's why that they lost so bad.
Yeah, it was Davis Mills that started that game. He went 15 for 32 for only 149 yards, but 2 touchdowns, but he also gave up the ball twice. So, and that's one of the things you can't do necessarily. And those were fumbles, by the way. And Joe Flacco in the game threw 2 touchdowns or two interceptions in that game, but he also was 24 for 42, 368 yards and 3 touchdowns, because in reality, they had, they weren't there's one thing about a team that throws interceptions, but there's also something to be said about a guy who doesn't care about it and keep doing it. And we saw a 2 interception game for Joe Flacco, so we know he can do it. But thinking about that whole game, if he doesn't throw those interceptions, the Browns put up a 40 burger on the Houston Texans, and we're not even talking about that game even being close. So so I don't see how they can't do it the next time. This time they're going into what do they say? Enemy territory and everything. But man, I would now, would I love to see it? Absolutely. Will I think we see it? I don't think so. I don't think the Texans have enough oomph on the offensive side of the ball to get past the defense that they're going to be seeing again here. So I think this one is put into where the Browns are going to be able to get the victory as far as that is concerned. So now, when we talk about who we're going to pick, we're not going to talk about the confidence points, which, by the way, you got to sign up for the bragging rights playoff. I sent you an email on it. So you got to sign up for that when you get home, so you don't forget about it. So we're going to do confidence points and 2 tiebreakers in order to get a real winner, because if we just pick winners, someone might not win outright. So we're going to try to get that done this year.
Okay, sounds good. I'll sign up as soon as I get home.
You got you. Now, are you going to so who are you going to go? Are you going to go Cleveland, or are you going to hit Houston?
Yeah, so after kind of thinking about and looking at how these teams could attack each other, I think what it comes down to for me, Sonny, is I think Cleveland is going to want to control the time of possession, control the line of scrimmage. And I think they're gonna run the ball to the point where it wears down that Houston defense, and I think that's how they win the game this time, because I think just based on how the game went last time.
Yep.
Where we just talked about it, Cleveland. I mean, they look like the Air Coryell or something like that. Where I mean, they just went air assault on them. I think Houston's going to expect that again, and I think that's why they're going to hit them with the run game in the playoffs. And look, experienced teams know that is, we could talk about quarterback play. Yeah, absolutely, quarterback play in the sense of don't turn the ball over.
Right.
That's what wins you games in the playoffs.
Right.
You don't turn the ball over, but you got to control the clock, time of possession, and I think Houston could fall into that trap of trying to do too much early in the game, and it could cost them. So that being said, Stefanski is the experienced playoff coach. You've got Joe Flacco, experienced quarterback. He has a Super Bowl ring.
And playoffs, yep. Mm-hmm.
Give me that team, the one with the experienced guys, and I like the Browns.
I like the Browns too, but think about this also. The Browns in the playoffs, doing what they did. They won 11 games with not just 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 starting quarterbacks, this season. And then it ends up in Joe Flacco's hands for him to be able to make a run into the playoffs. Now, that also being said, for Obi's sake, I would love to see him win for Obi's sake, so he can have a few bragging rights here in this playoffs that's going to be ended up happening. By the way, I got to reach out to him, make sure he's actually in the pick'em. Let me just take a look if he is in that one. So, by the way, and if anybody wants to get in last minute on the bragging rights playoff, send me an email. I'll get it over to you. Obi-Wan is in, so it should be interesting to see how his team does in in the playoffs moving forward. So, but yeah, we're both on the Browns. I don't think that and by the way, if someone wanted to pick Houston, I wouldn't, have too much to say about it. I mean, say whatever you want about Houston. They had a good second half of the season. Losing to the Jets probably was one of the things that probably shouldn't have happened. As far as that is concerned, it's right down the stretch like that.
That I agree with.
Yeah, they should have been able to handle that. As bad as they are.
It was a bad loss.
Yeah, but the fact they went ahead, they got the Broncos, and after the Jaguar victory over them, they beat the Broncos. Lost to the Jets, should have won that one, and beat the Titans within the division. Lost to the Browns, and came back against the Titans and beat them up again. But looking at the way they go into the playoffs is what scares me, Cuervo. Okay. The Browns were the team that they lost to, but 3 out of the last 4 were all AFC South football teams. And guess what? They're not very good anyway. So that's something to look at as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, with the exception of that Jets loss, I mean, I think Houston really finished strong. Because even losing that game to Cleveland, look, Cleveland's, they're a playoff team too, so you can't really knock them for losing that game. But the Jets one, yeah, that was not a good loss.
Yeah,
that was not a loss that they should have lost.
So, okay. And by the way, if you're hearing the dinging, that's one Brian Tarvin. As far as that is concerned, I sent the invite to you. Is he in? I didn't even look. So hopefully, see here. I don't see him in there. So he's inquiring. So Tarvin will be in the playoffs here to do that. So I'll get that over to him. So both on play. And by the way, just to let you know, that's who Tarvin's on. So keeping track on that. The Podfather, yes, I have to say, he has the bragging rights through this. The Podfather is, let's see, he sent me his message on who he's going. Give me a second. Maybe it's this one right here. It's not that. Is it that one? No, he sent me a big list of what he was doing that. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I was looking at the wrong.
It's in the group chat.
It's in the group chat. No wonder I can't find the damn thing. All right, so there it is. All right, so as far as the Trey Mack is going to go, where's his picks? He put a long old thing on there, and I can't find it. Wait. All right, I'm coming up on it. I'm just way too high. All right, so he has the Browns over the Texans. He says that the Browns defense will dominate Stroud as far as that is concerned. So that's why he has that going on there. So looking at that, and so that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. Your email, and I will send it. I'm getting Tarvin in for the pick 'em in the playoffs. So that's where we are. All right, so that's the Browns. I don't think we're going to get too many people taking Houston. If they do and they win, man, that's just that. I think that could be a pretty big upset. And if you have the Titans with the confidence points, you might be in a pretty good shape as far as that is concerned. So there we go. And I'm going to send this over. I'm going to send it over. Now, that being said, we got another game that's happening tomorrow. It's in the evening, and you got to love that because that's, the evening games are wonderful. I give you something to do on a Saturday night, except I have a habit of watching the Las Vegas Strip on Saturday night, so Cuervo, so at least I got something to do this week. But the Dolphins, I don't know. I hear so much, and I have not watched the mid-season thing they do on HBO. As far as the Dolphins were concerned, I know they didn't want to be part of it.
The Hard Knocks.
Yeah, the Hard Knocks. That's what it is. So that being said, I'm not sure how that whole thing is. Working out. Some people think it might have or was a distraction for them going into the last part of it. I don't know how much that is a concern, But when you look at that game, Cuervo, what is your take up on the Chiefs and the Dolphins? Where, guess what? We got another thing to talk about. We got Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City. Kind of an interesting little story going on.
Yeah, there's stories in a lot of these games.
Yep.
And we'll get to the storylines when we get to the games. But yeah, for this one, obviously Tyreek, when they played earlier this year, that game was in Germany, so Tyreek didn't go to Kansas City, but he will be there tomorrow, as part of the other team. So,
yep.
But one thing, Sonny, before we get into this game, I want to make sure that everybody knows and I make it clear. For those that don't know, for this game, and I hate it, and it's stupid, and but there's nothing we can do about it, Sonny. If you want to watch this game, you have to subscribe to Peacock.
Yes, that's right.
It's not going to be on NBC. It's not going to be on NFL Network. It's not going to be on Amazon Prime. You have to subscribe to Peacock. And
or Cuervo have one of those TV bootleg things in order to get in.
Well, yeah, I mean there are websites you can stream it on. Yep. Good luck finding one that's going to actually work, because
yes,
a lot of those sites don't work that great. You're going to get a lot of buffering, and,
yep.
and you're gonna see Patrick Mahomes throwing motion, and then all of a sudden there's points on the board. So good luck with that. I'm not saying you can't do it. There's ways. But if you want to make sure that you see the game with clarity and no interruptions, whatever, pay the $6.
Yes.
Get the 1 month and then cancel it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what a lot of people are going to be doing. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make that very clear that if the best way to watch it, not the only way, but the best way is to subscribe to Peacock.
Yep. Got to keep your eyes open for that, and I do have the Peacock, and I will be watching both of the games because I'm going to be watching.
I got Peacock too.
Yeah, so there you go. You gotta have it. And I even subscribed the last 2 weeks of the NFL channel in case something happens where they go over there. So I even grabbed that up so I can make sure that I can see the game. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think this is a very interesting situation game. You're going to see a lot of situations in this game. How is Kansas City going to defend their own guy? And if anybody in the NFL should be able to stop a Tyreek Hill, logic tells you it should be the Kansas City Chiefs. But really, can they stop them based upon the defense that we've been seeing from Kansas City for the last 3 to 4 weeks, which has been mediocre at best?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can say that for both teams because, I mean, Kansas City, they lose to Buffalo, and then they lose to who else did they lose to? I know they've been kind of up and down. Miami's been the same way. I mean, they got their head kicked in by Baltimore a couple weeks ago.
Right.
They lost to Buffalo last Sunday night to close the season out. So I mean, it's like Miami's not going into this playoff with a whole lot of momentum.
Right.
And I think that if you're a Dolphin fan, that's what concerns you is because there's no denying it, Sonny. And this is why people are so high on the Buffalo Bills right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things that'll help you going into the playoffs is momentum.
Absolutely.
And that's something that the Dolphins, they don't have any of that right now. So
we always talk about momentum going into the last part of going into the playoffs, and and it depends upon what you think about momentum, because if you look at the Texans, the game that we were talking about, they've won the last 3 games to get into the playoffs. So, they're 3 or 4 of the last 4. And so they got the momentum, but they're also against those AFC teams that are not good. The difference on the other side of this, if you look at where the Dolphins are, they've been playing a little bit better teams and getting better results and things of that sort. Not great results, don't get me wrong, but I will say this: out of all the things that this game, I think in reality puts into, I just can't wait for it. Just more in the fact on who's going to end up winning. I've never been what you say. I never not trusted Patrick Mahomes before this year. And now we're in a situation where they are. But you look at the Dolphins, their last 2 games, okay, they lost to the Buffalo Bills by a touchdown. The Ravens just kicked the holy hell out of them. But that win against the Dallas Cowboys, they're kind of leaning on big time going into the last part of the season, because when you lose to the Titans by 1, back in December 11th, that kind of kicks the hell out of you. But beating the Jets 30-0 does nothing for you going into the playoffs. If the Dolphins get a win against the Buffalo Bills or the Ravens, I'd feel much better about the Dolphins going into this game. But again, right now I don't think the Chiefs can beat the Ravens. I don't even think the Chiefs can beat the Bills again. So that's interesting, or that, so the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs again and make it into the playoffs. That would be great. But man, I find it very hard to pick the Miami Dolphins in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, like, it's kind of the knock that a lot of people have had on Miami is show me a quality win. And yes, they beat Dallas on a last-second field goal at home. Well, guess what? They're not playing Dallas, and they're not playing at home tomorrow. So, that's it. It doesn't favor Miami, given the situation of this football game.
I'm going to tell you what worries me about this game, and I was looking at this, and with the Dolphins on what they've got to do, okay, which is what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to stretch that defense. But normally some of the things that we've been talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and their defense for the last few years are not the same this year. Because when you look at the scoring defense for Kansas City, they've held teams to 17.3 points a game. Now, are they going to hold the Miami Dolphins to that? I don't think so. I think you're going to at least see Miami score 24 points in this football game. And so you look at that side. The pass defense for Kansas City, they're 4th in the NFL, only allowing 176 yards a game. Now, Tyreek could get 176 himself, but does he get it against the team that he came from? Do the Kansas City Chiefs got Tyreek Hill's number? That's the big story going into that, outside of a woman showing up that no one cares about. We care about football. But they're going to make a big story about Taylor Swift being there, if she's going to be there. And I don't even know if she's going to be there, because I don't care. I want to see what's going to happen out on the football field in reality. So, but the Kansas City defense this year has been the reason why the Chiefs made the playoffs, more so than Patrick Mahomes winning football games in order to help them win the game. Because I want to just throw this out there: the Kansas City Chiefs scoring offense in the 4th quarter is the worst in the NFL. Let me just say that again. The Kansas City Chiefs offense scoring in the 4th quarter is the worst in the NFL. So what you better hope, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, is they can go into that 4th quarter with a lead, because if they're going to have to fight to get back into it, that might not happen, depending on what you can see on the defensive side of the ball for the who are they? The Dolphins, who are 29th in the NFL. In the 4th quarter. So that might be a breaking point as far as that is concerned. This is going to come down to the last part of the game, I have a feeling.
Now, Sonny, that stat that you just brought up about 4th quarter scoring, is that is that statistically, was that throughout the whole season, or is that just like the past
Well, that's
so
through the
many
whole.
weeks?
That's through the whole season.
You know, that really surprises me. I mean,
Yep.
you would think Kansas City's a top 3 to top 5 scoring offense in the fourth quarter.
You would think, because
Yeah,
they have been that for the last 5 years, and that's why this year is totally different. And looking on the other side of that, as far as where Miami is concerned in the fourth quarter, they're 13th in the NFL of scoring in the fourth quarter. So they're not great, but they're no slouch. That means that they get in there. They average about a touchdown in the fourth quarter compared to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are only averaging a field goal in the fourth quarter. And that could be the difference between the game in reality when you're looking at those numbers in the fourth quarter.
Right. Well, I know the reason why. I know the reason why Kansas City is struggling so bad in the fourth quarter offense. Well, you know, I'm glad you asked, Sonny. Look who their offensive coordinator is. That tells you everything you need to know.
So you don't have any love for the former head coach of the Chicago Bears? Are you kidding me?
Hell no, I don't. Hell no, I don't.
Oh, look who showed up. The man is here. It's Brian Tarvin. He realized we're on air. And this is interesting. Miami can't score 24 with Tua. I have maybe depending on who they play, he has maybe he's saying maybe not against Kansas City, because Kansas City's defense is definitely better than they were Sonny, in the 4 years before.
Listen, Sonny, Tua. Let me tell you something about Tua. He's from Hawaii.
Okay.
He went to college in Alabama, which is in the South. Then he gets drafted by the Miami Dolphins. When was the last time he's ever been in any type of weather that's below 40 degrees, 50 degrees?
Yes.
I don't think he's ever experienced. And guess what? Tomorrow
it's gonna be cold, Jack. It's like 10 to 12 degrees in Kansas City tomorrow.
No. You're talking 4 below without wind chill.
Oh, I did
4
not
below
know.
0.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Ice Bowl Part 3 coming tomorrow. I'm telling you. Tua, he's going to want to get out of that game so fast. He could probably care less. If they win that game or not. Give me Kansas City, Sonny. This one's a no-brainer. But I would tell you, I think it's going to be close, only because Matt Nagy is a horrible offensive coordinator. He's much better at bringing Andy Reid cheeseburgers and coffee. That's just what it is.
Oh, well, so that being said, that's where we're at on that one. I don't think there's any reason why it shouldn't be Kansas City. I even forgot the weather about it, but all I gotta say is I got a very high confidence point. Don't tell me what your confidence point will be in this, but I'm just saying I got a high one on this one. So it should be really interesting to see how that ends up happening. So looking pretty good. And by the way, CUERVO, when Brian Tarvin has made his Super Bowl prediction, are you ready?
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
And Cleveland and Dallas in the Super Bowl. That's what he's shooting out there. Interesting numbers.
I can get on board with half of that.
Which half?
Dallas.
Okay. All right. Man. But, Baltimore, that's what the NFL thinks it's going to be. Baltimore and San Francisco, if you believe the logos, right?
You know what? Look, it's easy to pick the 1 seed, Sonny. That's easy to do.
Oh, yeah, but how did they become that 1 seed? That's the biggest question in reality, right?
Well, look, it's and you know what? And I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna hit the Podfather with the chair here.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to be the regular season guy, but let's see who wins this playoff pick. Let's see who can do it in the playoffs.
I have a feeling I'm gonna suck at this. I don't know why. I just don't know why, but who knows? But maybe it seems like I'm on the right side at least for the first two games. Now that being said, Cuervo, are you going to be able to make it on Sunday, or do you know?
I'll be there.
All right, cool. So we don't need to go over who you're going to pick for the rest of the week. So we'll get for the
No.
rest of the game. So we'll be on 9 to noon, a regular time. So get kicks off at noon. So and we'll just BS probably most of the time. And he's all over the Podfather. He thinks he's going to beat his ass. So well, we were on the Browns on the first game with you. And we are on, both of us are on the Chiefs in the second part of it. So that's about where we're at. So, and Cuervo's getting close to pulling up to his home, if I'm not mistaken.
No, still got a little ways to go.
Wow, really?
Hit some traffic, yeah.
See, you gotta love that. You gotta love that California traffic at nighttime. I can't imagine driving in that every day. I think I'd shoot myself in the head. So.
I've come close a couple times, but you know what? it's like I tell my wife, I love money too much,
Yeah.
and I enjoy the job. It's not like I dread going to work every day. It's just I dread the traffic more than anything. If there was a way I could get to my job and get to the base without having to, sit through the traffic, then I'd probably do that. But it would take me an extra 30 minutes to get there.
How many days a week do you work?
It's a full-time Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, gotcha. So, yeah, and great. I have a private jet. Yeah, he flies around all over the country.
Why? You know what? Can I borrow that, Tarvin?
No kidding. But you don't want to do the helicopter. You got bad Kobe, nightmares going on, so you can't do the helicopter. So.
Well, you know what? If Tarvin had a helicopter that I could borrow, I would do what I could to get him hooked up to where he could sightsee the whole base without anybody trying to shoot him down.
So a little Joe action there, say. So, man, I am looking for. Are you going to be watching the games? Are you got any special plans for tomorrow or Sunday as far as the playoffs are concerned? My plan is to be exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so definitely going to watch the first game. The second one, most likely, but I do know that the wife and I, we do have plans to go out to dinner tomorrow. So.
Where are you going? Are you going to the Cheesecake Factory?
No. There's an Italian restaurant not too far from the house that we're going to go check out.
Ooh.
And I think they got TVs there, so there's a chance we're going to be able to see the game anyways.
Maybe there's a chance.
There might be a chance to get it. So
I'm saying there's a chance.
By the way, it's funny. It's funny. We're getting comments from Brian Tarvin, and he says Rams. The Rams and the Lions are a tough one. I agree. That's when I'm gonna probably battle up until I hear everybody's take on it before I pick them. But the great thing about the playoff pick 'em is there's confidence points that you're gonna do and 2 tiebreakers. So we should get a winner this year more so than just picking, and we didn't hand out trophies without a full-fledged winner. I, by the way, am the only one since we've been doing the playoffs has won the trophy. Thank you. Yes, so I got those bragging rights as far as the playoffs are concerned. Now I'm about ready to lose it because the confidence points and tiebreakers are going to be it. By the way, I have no control over what they put up as far as the tiebreakers are concerned. So you just deal with what Yahoo says they are, and then we go with it and see how it works. So I know. Tarvin says the Rams are hot. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some numbers that we're going to see as far as certain players and things and how that works out. Now, that being said, you got a little time. Let's go to one of the last pieces of news that we have now talk about. There has been a coaching change in one college that we haven't talked about. Alabama is gonna, go on without Nick Saban. So the big question is, where do you think Nick Saban is going to go? If he's going to go, is he going to go to the NFL or retire? And who's going to take over that program? And I have zero clue on either one of those questions, Cuervo.
Well, you know what, Sonny? That's why I'm your co-host, because I got answers to both of those.
I put it in your hands.
So, first part, I think Saban, he goes home. I don't think he's going to coach anymore. Maybe he does some sort of advisor roles or something like that, but I think he's completely done coaching. You know, it was one of the, again, Nick Saban's resume, you'll never see that again.
How you follow that up
in the college rank? Yeah. There's no way to follow that up, and so it's just crazy to see within a 24-hour period both of those guys saying goodbye to or not Belichick saying goodbye, but Belichick, his run in New England being gone or being done, and then now Nick Saban at Alabama. So I don't know that Saban's going to do any type of advisor role, but I could see him doing that. The other part of that, Alabama they've already named their new head coach.
Who is that? Is that the Washington deal?
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer. He got bought out from Washington, and he's making his way to Tuscaloosa, and he's going to be the new Alabama coach.
Interestingly enough, Brian Tarvin says we'll see him on TV. Maybe not. I don't know if I want to see Nick Saban on TV. I've had enough of him anyway. I'm actually glad he's retiring. Oh, he's always been good on TV. I've seen it. We've seen him do that before. I think I'm just sick of Nick Saban, and I'll even say it. I think I'm sick of one Bill Belichick as well. So we're getting rid of both of the dinosaurs. They're dying out. So that's kind of nice. And then you add Pete Carroll on top of it at 72 years old. So we're getting 3 dinosaurs out of the game. So it should be interesting to see how that whole thing works around.
Yeah, I mean, this really just kind of, when you think about it, just kind of signifies, just the change.
Yes.
That it's coming in the game of football. I mean, coaches are getting younger. You got these legendary guys that are moving on.
Yep.
That's why it wouldn't surprise me if a guy like Mike Tomlin would either leaves on his own from Pittsburgh, or they just move in a different direction and they go younger too.
Yes.
Wouldn't surprise me. And that's not a knock on Mike Tomlin. It just kind of seems like that's the trend right now, is where all these older guys that have been around forever, are just kind of making change.
By the way, Cuervo, Sunday, have your Super Bowl prediction ready. Okay. I've got my Super Bowl prediction ready, but I don't want to do it today. I want to do it on Sunday. I've got my Super Bowl, and it's not what everybody's talking about. So I've just put it out that way. So it should be really interesting to see how other people, other hosts that are watching this show, have your Super Bowl prediction ready. We're going to do that on Sunday after we do our picks, for those games. Okay. Yeah, I want to hear it. And Brian Tarvin's already put his out, San Francisco at Baltimore. I'm not going to tell you if I'm agreeing or not, but that's who he's got. Don't tell him if that's who you're agreed on. So we'll do that all on Sunday. to take a look at those games. Because guess what? I think this is going to be a very interesting year as far as teams winning in the playoffs. I think some of the teams that are expected to win are probably not going to win. I think there's going to be a couple of shocks. Will it be in the first round? I don't know, but I think we could see some shocks in the second round, definitely, depending on what happens, obviously, in this first week of the playoffs here.
Yeah, it'll be. It's playoffs are always a good time, Sonny. It really. Sometimes we get a lot of ups. We get some upsets, and I don't think this year's going to be any different. I think we may get an upset or two. I don't think it'll happen tomorrow, but it could happen Sunday, or it could happen Monday night. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned and think about this. I mean, outside of what's Buffalo and Pittsburgh, I mean, can you smell upset? I don't know. Green Bay and Dallas, can Dallas overcome what they got to do? You got to think about that. But, Philadelphia playing like dog garbage for the last 5 weeks of the season shows you what's going on. But the most intriguing game, and we'll talk about it, is that Rams-Detroit game tomorrow. That's going to be a really fun game to be talking about. So when we're going to talk about that tomorrow, we're going to be on from 9 to noon and get you right into the first game of the playoffs that are going to be happening on Sunday. So outside of that, Cuervo, that's all I had going on. Is there anything you wanted to cover before we're out of here and before we see you next on Sunday?
Nothing. I mean, whatever, with all the other things going on in the NFL, I think we could wait for Sunday. If we're going to do a full 3 hours, I think we can save all that for Sunday.
I agree. I think and there's still a lot to talk about. I just get on the big things that happen during the week, but there's some other side things that are going on. Some players that are not going to be out on the football field. To watch out for those injury reports. They're going to be big tomorrow, or Sunday. So watch out for those injury reports. We'll cover the injury reports obviously on Sunday when we talk about them, and some guys that I think recently there was someone arrested, if I'm not mistaken. I forget. Do you know who I'm talking about, Cuervo?
Somebody that was arrested? Ooh.
Yeah, I think it was a former player. I just can't remember. I got it in my notes, but I don't have my notes next to me right now. So it was a former player got arrested. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit up on Sunday. So, but
yeah, sounds good.
All right, so we'll roll with the 3 hours on Sunday. That's going to do it for us here tonight. You pulled in. You're home.
Just got home. I'm sitting in the car.
Man, the timing is we're just that good. I tell you. So the timing
I
is
didn't
good.
secretly message Sonny either. He just knew.
I just we got it all figured out. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. Special edition of that being said, we'll be on Sunday, and our next week are Saturday games going on as well.
Yes.
Okay, if and when we'll figure that out, if we'll do it Saturday or if we'll do it Friday, I'm not sure. We'll figure out those schedules this next week. But until then, we'll see y'all up on Sunday. So that's going to do it for us. Say hi to your wife for me. And I'm glad that you had a little time to knock it out of the park with us here tonight on Friday night.
Yeah, same. So I appreciate the just the opportunity to do it on a Friday night. We don't have these shows often, so it's kind of fun to do a night show.
Very rare. Yeah, very rare for us to knock it out on a Friday. So and we're just all of our lives are so busy, but man, I got that cement on Sunday, so we're all set for that one. And if we get the opportunity to do a show like this, I try to do them if the schedule works out for us. So we'll be looking. We'll see if it's going to be a Friday night drive home for you, or if a Saturday works out best for you. So we'll figure all that out next week.
Okay. Yep. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Cool. So that's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, showing us Sunday for 9 to noon. We'll have the Podfather. We're going to have to pay homage to him with the bragging rights. He's going to be one that's going to do each and every week, so I'm going to have to give him his props. By the way, not next week, or not this Sunday, but next week, I do the Hulk Hogan paying my debt to the Podfather, I'm going to do the Hulk Hogan NWO in the beard thing. So he's going to have a lot of fun with that. So that will be next week because I couldn't
we'll have
get the
to,
stuff to do it, for tomorrow, or I do it tomorrow.
We'll have to make sure that we got the Jimi Hendrix ready to go too.
Yeah, You know what? You're right. I'm going to do that. So that's going to be my lead in. You're right, Jimi Hendrix. And
you got to have the song going.
Actually, now I'm actually looking forward to it.
There you go.
So, all right, my man, you have a good one. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the night. We'll see you Sunday morning.
All right, you too.
All right. That'll do it for us on the Couch Potato Sports Show. See you 9 to noon as we cover the rest of the first round of the NFL playoffs here in 2023-24 season. We're out of here, everybody. Bye-bye.